Welcome to the service clinic at Low Country Harley-Davidson. I'm Doc Harley. Today we're going to have a show and tell. Well, I'm going to show, and I want you to tell me your opinions and your thoughts. It's not often you get to see cylinders side by side and compare. So I wanted to do that today. I've got a 96-inch cylinder, a 103, a 107, and a CVO 110. We'll get to that. I've also got some M8s, and we'll compare. So the 96, it's almost the same as the 88 when it first came out, and the 103, the 95-inch. So we've got something that we can reflect if you own an 88 or a 95, and I'm showing a 96 and a 103. All right, so first of all, I'd like to say, when I was working on Evos, we didn't bore out these. The liner is on the thin side, but comparable for an 80 cubic inch motor, and it did well. Well, some of us did bore out to 3 5/8, but it didn't last long. The liner was super thin and wouldn't hold. So we'd go either with S&S cylinders, which were made for the bigger bore, or we would stroke it. So it was a good cylinder back then, and it did comparable heat. Now, we have to agree on this also. We're dealing with an air-cooled motor, okay? I don't care if we call it a twin-cooled because we're adding some water to it. It's still basically an air-cooled motor, so cylinders have to dissipate the heat. All right, so that's the Evo. Here's the 96, and I wanted to show you, have the cameraman look at the thickness of this liner for the cylinder. Brought a vernier. We're just going to get a crude reading here. All right, about 168. Let's move it a little bit. 160. All right, so we got 160. So when we go from a 96 to a 103, that's boring out the 96. So let's put this on here and let's see. So down to 94 on the cylinder liner on it. Still not half. Good solid. And 103's been going great. Now this next cylinder is a 107. It's the max you can bore out a 103 and still have some liner that will work. Let's put this on here. Wow, we're getting down into the 50s here. Yeah, 56, where we had over 1.6 on the 96. Wow. So, okay, we've got 96 cubic inch, 103, bigger furnace, bigger fire, more compression. Wow, we've got more heat. So the 96, holding it in pretty good. And that brought up a thought that I want you to share with me is guys that went from Evos to 88 complained a little bit about the heat, but not much on it. But people that went from the Evo motor to the 103 went, whoa, man, that's a lot of heat between my legs. Well, of course, bigger furnace, bigger fire, you've got more, but we've also got a thinner liner. And the 107, man, down in the 50s. Now, on the end is a CVO 110. Now, this is what's unique. All right, I'm going to put the vernier on this one, and we're the same size as the 103. But what Harley did was they bored the cases out just slightly so they could keep the liner thick and still have the 110. Yes, I know there are some kits out there that claim to have fancy steel that can do a 110, but you still have the restriction of the case. So a 110 going in on the same case for the 96 and 103 and the 107 here, that's pretty thin on it. So that's why you cannot put a CVO 110 in a 103 case, because the bore was made a little bit bigger in the cases to handle the bigger sleeve on the 110. So we have the 96, 103, 107, yeah, that's thin, and then the CV 110. So let's jump into the M8s. All right, so I have a 114 cylinder here. Now the 114 and 107 are the same. It's just a different stroke for the 107 versus 114. So if I take my vernier, let's zero it out. Let's put it in here and just crudely. We're in the 1.6. Okay, 1.64. And then this is a 117. 135. Not bad, not bad. So bored out 114, 107 to a 117. The gains are pretty good in the power. It's a very light motor right now in the Harley-Davidson family. And so I've got a 114, 117, and then I have a 128 here. Yeah, okay, so I'll zero this out. I'll put this in 0.056. That kind of reminds me of the 107. Bigger fire, more compression, thinner liner. 114, 107, 117, 128, 96, 103, 107, and a 110. This is where I want your opinion. A lot of you guys went from the Evo to the twin cam to an M8. Your thoughts on heat. We still have an air-cooled motor, and that's something to notice too. Okay, you see these 90s, the 96, the 103, and the 107, they're all the same cylinders. We haven't made the fins larger or done anything to dissipate the heat more. Same thing with the M8, same cylinders, just bored out. So give me your reflection on heat. Give me your reflection on mileage, longevity. 96, this was taken out to put a 103 kit in. The 103 was taken out, I believe, to do a different kit. The 107 needed to be rebuilt. The 128, we went with a different route. I think we went even bigger on that. So give me your thoughts on the heat, the longevity, the thoughts on boring out cylinders to get more power, more heat, more, Give me your feedback. I'd like to hear all about it. I'm Doc Harley. We'll see you next week.